think it's a tie, actually. I think this is one of the top 2 best books that I read for 2025. Hi, and welcome to Literary Rambles with Lucy. I've been wanting to make a video just kind of gushing about books that I've read in 2025. And before we kick off, I'm wearing this beautiful top from... God, where is it from? I don't remember. Anyways, my hair would not cooperate and it is sticking out in a really, I don't know, a strange way. I have put the hood on, but I don't know if it looks a bit too dramatic. Maybe I should take it off. Does that look odd? I have about 9 favorite picks here that I'll be talking about, but I've read about just under 80 books for this year. My most recent read was Frankenstein. This has been on my TBR for a very long time, so the movie adaptation was a great incentive for me to finally get around to it, and I am really glad that I did because it is packed with a lot of social commentary. At a first glance, when I kind of rushed through it, I liked it, but I wouldn't say that I loved it. But in the process of going back and reassessing it and annotating it, I really enjoyed it. It definitely added to the experience. So in terms of my annotation style, usually, honestly, there is no structure to it. I go as I feel like, so I might annotate while I'm reading, otherwise sometimes I will just simply stick a tab on it, and then afterwards I'll go back because I know that I enjoyed something on that page, and then I'll go back and write my thoughts, do the Googles or whatever I need to do to kind of better understand the story or kind of understand a bit more of the messaging behind what was intended. So for those who don't know much about Frankenstein, same, very relatable because that was literally me before this whole read. I know it is quite a common misconception and I'm definitely one of those that did not know as well. Frankenstein is not actually the name of the monster. This guy on the cover, he doesn't even have a name. Like, he's referred to as demon or the monster or the creature in the book. Frankenstein is actually the main character's last name. So the main character is Victor Frankenstein and he's the creator of the creature. And it is a really interesting book. It touches on moral responsibility, privilege. There's a lot of female, male, gender stereotypes. It also touches on classism. God, I feel like I read things and I really enjoy it, but honestly, my memory is so shocking. So when I go and kind of explain the synopsis of a novel, I really struggle. I think the insane thing is Mary Shelley wrote this when she was 18. I mean, imagine having that level of skill, but also just like she was so ahead of her time. The things that she spoke about, the female Elizabeth in this book, she's written like an ornament, and that's done intentionally. Her interests are very considered, I guess, trivial or like very feminine, while the main character, Victor, he is so serious. He's all about discovering the reasoning and the why and what and who, what, where of things. I Who Have Never Known Men by Jacqueline Harpman. So this was a read that my workbook club had chosen. Our workbook club I named, and it's called Hot Girls Reading Club because hot girls read, right? This book is such a thin book. It's quite a itty bitty one. I did not expect to enjoy this the way that I really did. As you can see, I've annotated so many pages. It is so poetic and meaningful, and it really gets you thinking about what it means to be human. The synopsis of this is there are 39 women who live deep underground in a cage, and then one day they are able to escape and they go on exploring, and they're kind of just trying to figure out where they are, what happened. I guess that's what's happening in the background, but the main thing is kind of following through this child. We hear about her whole life from infancy up until adulthood, and it is so interesting because she was born in this bunker. She kind of doesn't know better or doesn't know what to expect. The losses and the feelings and even her mindset and ethics, just everything, her mannerisms even, are so different to the lives and personality of the other women that she's there with. And for the majority of it, the women kind of don't understand her. They think she's a little bit strange, and she's in a way kind of isolated, I guess, because they're mourning the loss of their future life, the loss of their kids. They don't know what's happened to their husbands, their family, friends, whereas she has a very different experience. And I think part of that is quite painful for them, or maybe a point of tension, because she's not going exactly through the same thing that they are. But she does become close with one other woman, and it is a really beautiful story. I highly recommend this to everyone. The writing style is very accessible in a sense that, it's not a lot of large clunky words and things like that. You kind of just flow through the text. There's a very nice cadence to it when you're reading it. It kind of hits this middle ground of it's accessible and it's an easy read, but you also have the ability to kind of dig deeper into the book while kind of enjoying that really beautiful poetic prose that is still accessible. I said accessible a few times, but anyways, I would love to give a little snippet of some of the things that I'm going to flick through and find some of my favorite annotations, because what better way for you to kind of gauge whether this book is for you or not. There's no continuity. Why can't I say that word? There's no continuity, and the world I have come from is utterly foreign to me. I haven't heard its music, I haven't heard its paintings, I haven't read its books, except for the handful I have found in the refuge, and of which I understand little. I know only the stony plain, wandering, and the gradual loss of hope. I am the sterile offspring of a race about which I know nothing, not even whether it has become extinct. Perhaps somewhere humanity is flourishing under the stars, unaware that a daughter of its blood is ending her days in silence. Ouch. Are you kidding me? It is just so eloquently written. When you're reading it, you really see her go through it, that sense of isolation, that sense of not belonging, just having all these questions that she doesn't have the answers to, and I can't imagine how terrifying and lonely it is. This was 20 out of 10 read for me. This was a fantastic book, and everyone in my book club really loved it too. We all enjoy a diverse range of book genres, so I guess it says a lot that, it can appeal to a mass of people. Following on from that book, we've got another one from Jacqueline Hartman. I had to pick up another one of her books because the one that I just spoke about absolutely shook me. I didn't read it consecutively. I only just finished this maybe at the start of the month. It took me some time to get my hands on this because the book had gone out of print. I did look on secondhand webbies like Depop and eBay and things like that, but honestly I did not like the cover, and I love the fact that because I have waited, they match. This one is about a woman who's grown up with a very conservative / strict mum. As a byproduct of this, her mind kind of creates a separate entity. Brash, boisterous, sexually adventurous, this voice seems to be the antithesis of Aileen. I will caveat and say that when I did start it, it was a bit of a slow pace, and I was very worried that I wouldn't kind of warm up to it. But the deeper I got into the book, I really started to, the word I was looking for was invested. So the more the characters kind of develop, you get more invested in the characters, or at least I did, because you see the split between them, the contrast between their personalities. You learn more about Aileen's upbringing, which is very interesting, and the influence that it had on her life. The middle / end, you really see them struggle to be apart and thinking about what they're going to do long term and how they're supposed to live when they can't be apart, essentially. I kept seeing this everywhere. I have had Dostoevsky on my TBR for such a long time. I actually started off with Crime and Punishment, but during that period I was having a hell of a hard time. Caveat, full disclosure. And honestly, I just found that it was too much of a heavy read for me, but it's definitely something I want to revisit when maybe life is a little bit calmer, a little bit quieter. But yes, I had a very romantic idea of this book in my head. I thought it was going to be exactly the way it was, kind of a sad read, obviously engaging, touching on a lot of moral elements. It's about three brothers. It depicts their negative relationship with their father. Negative is an understatement, by the way. Their father is this like toxic, drunk, obnoxious, and he's gross. He doesn't have the greatest morals. They all kind of deal with their upbringing in a very different way. And they were also, raised very differently, even in different environments and with different people. So they have very distinct characteristics and way that they kind of move through life. You really have to think, because this book does pose a lot of philosophical questions. I feel like that is very common in a lot of Russian writers. It's a book that talks a lot about religion, about life. It obviously talks about that element of nature versus nurture and being good and bad, and whether you kind of inherit that from your parents. I kind of stopped annotating because towards the middle I was like, hold up. I am going to have to lock in. Initially when I was reading it, I was like, stop annotating. It's kind of a struggle doing that, especially for such a thick boy like this. I felt like it was kind of interrupting my flow of reading, so I kind of paused it, and now I've been a bit lazy to kind of come back and finish annotating, but I definitely want to get that done. I don't think that I loved it the way that I really wanted to, or the way that I expected to. I have a sneaking suspicion that if I read it again / while I'm annotating it, I'll feel that kind of connection with the novel. I did, but I don't know. I think to a degree it was also the period that I was reading. Yeah, that kind of changed. It kind of affected my reading experience of this. So yeah, this is definitely on my 2026 TBR. I want to give it the proper attention. Having said that, it is definitely one of my top picks for 2025, hence why I'm talking to it right now. But yeah, watch this space because I feel like I'll have more to say. Toni frickin' Morrison. This author is a new author for me who I finally got around to reading this year. I actually hadn't seen or heard a lot about her work until I got on Book Talk. Can I just say, I feel like Book Talk has so much hate of people being like, the Book Talk community is so blah, like all they do is read romance books. It's just like blah, blah, blah. It's not great. Honestly, I have found so many gems and so many amazing creators on Book Talk. I definitely don't believe that. Yeah, this is one of the posies that have come out of my endless Book Talk scrolling. We've got here Paradise, and then we've got Sula. This is The Bluest Eye. So I read a whole bunch of her work on my Kindle, so I don't have the physical copy, but I am slowly kind of curating a collection of her work. It's been really fun and really exciting kind of going thrifting, and she's definitely one that I'm always on the lookout for, especially because I don't know, I'm sure in America it's different because she's American, but I haven't seen a lot of her work, or at least in secondhand stores in Australia, as opposed to when I go on eBay America, there's a whole bunch of listings. So she's obviously very, very big in America, because I would say all of her work, I haven't read all of them, but the majority, or the ones that I have read of her, she talks about the African American experience. You already know it's going to be a difficult read, it's going to be a very confronting read, but all the more reasons to read it, right? Like, it is so eye-opening that you get this deep and sad insight into what it's like being a person of color. I don't want to discourage or scare anyone. It is a deep book, but she has a really beautiful way with words. Sometimes when you read something and it is so beautiful, you reread it like 3, 4, 5 times. She puts such a beautiful spin on such ugly, hard, difficult moments. Okay, we've got another thick boy. We have The Count of Monte Cristo. This was incredible. Everything about it, seriously, 10/10, chef's kiss, no notes. I'm gonna read the blurb at the back. Dumas's epic tale of suffering and retribution, inspired by a real-life case of wrongful imprisonment, was a huge popular success when it was first serialized in 1840s. So serialized meaning that chunks of it was published at a time, I believe in like a newspaper. I put on my Instagram that Dumas was the original yapper. This book was like watching a damn movie. Like, there are so many plots, there are so many things that tie up together that you're just like, holy crap, I didn't see that coming. I never would have thought that. I just realized this was another book to movie adaptation that, I had on my list, and I finally got around to reading it purely because I was like, okay, it's now or never. This is the perfect time for me to read the book and then immediately go see the movie of it. I have to say, I didn't love the movie. They made a lot of changes, which I understand because from a modern lens, a lot of the things that are written here kind of wouldn't fly or could be a bit icky. Let me try and find a passage that I liked. "Oh, Mercedes, I have spoken your name with sighs of melancholy, with groans of pain, and with the croak of despair. I have spoken it frozen with cold, huddled on the straw of my dungeon. I have spoken it raging with heat and rolling around on the stone floor of my prison. Mercedes, I must have revenge because for 14 years I have suffered." Come on. Yearning. It is such a smart, intelligent book. It is witty. The characters are so defined that, each and every person, you really come to understand them. Dumas really created the perfect rotation of characters. They get you feeling some type of way. Like, there are some evil characters that you're so invested to the point you're like, fuck you, dude. Whereas, like, the main character, Edmund, you really feel for him and you really want him to succeed. Alright, so here is another one that I highlighted because the imagery is so potent, I guess. It's so moving, and it's literally just one sentence. "Morel made as if to throw himself at his son's feet. Maximilian drew his father to him." This is the part that I like. "And for a moment, these two noble hearts beat, one against the other." I literally have written crying and screaming. What a depiction. Julia Armfield, Our Wives Under the Sea. I'm not usually someone who collects or even likes a hardback, but I scoured the interwebs for a cover that, that I liked and kind of fit in a bit more with my aesthetic. Honestly, my aesthetic is all just black, so trying to look for one with the dark covered spine. Okay, so Leah goes on a deep ocean under the sea expedition, and the book is broken up between two different perspectives. Leah, and then we've got Miri's perspective. Miri is Leah's wife, who, she's happy that Leah's come back because Leah does go missing for quite some time. Miri gets her partner back. She's like, yay, but there is something very, very different about Leah. There is something very wrong, and you're kind of hypothesizing what happened to Leah. It's a very engaging book, and you definitely want to read to find out the truth and what happens. And also, I'm not an audiobook girly. I find that with audiobooks, the experience isn't the same. I feel like you naturally miss a lot of things and details, but I do have to say the audio version of this is incredible. She's got an English accent, and it really kind of added to the ambiance of this novel. Julia Armfield is definitely an author that I want to keep my eye on. I read another one of her short novels. I can't remember what it is, and it was also very vivid. She deals with a lot of, body horror, body dysmorphia. There's a very grotesque kind of element to her writing and the perspective. It's quite eerie, but I'm obsessed with it. That was a good catch. I'm so glad I remembered this. Oh, now we're sitting at 10. Okay, love that. My top 10 fave books for 2025. That's a title right there, boom. For those who enjoy a good yearning and suffering, this is the epitome of it. Everybody wants to be perceived in this way. Everybody wants to be loved and seen in this way. I do have to say, it is not a happy love story. It is a sad one that kind of doesn't come to fruition. And this is a little snippet. A magical novel about a Turkish man who falls in love with an artist in 1920s Berlin, recreates a vanished era, and dramatizes a doomed relationship with verve, depth, and poignancy. The result is a miniature masterpiece. This is another gem that I discovered through Book Talk, so you know what, shout out to Book Talk. I don't know if I've really kind of given this book justice, but anyways, please read it. It's a great book.